Hey guys, it's Hidden Gems once again with another YouTube First. This time we're looking at Blade Runner 3, Replicant Night. Now, this one takes place a few years have passed since Blade Runner 2, and Deckard's living on Mars with Rachel or Sarah, if you've watched my last video. So, obviously, I'm not going to bother recapping book 2. So the book begins with basically a retelling of I think not the middle, towards the middle of the movie. It's basically a shot-for-shot retelling of the movie. The part of the movie where I think Deckard's fighting, I don't remember, the one replicant with the mustache that throws him into the truck or whatever, and then all of a sudden, it stops, and you find out it's actually a movie set. And Deckard is in this book. You find out Deckard's actually basically a consultant for there's this company that's making a movie based off of his case file, from the his case file, basically the entire events of the movie. And so at this point you're kind of going, okay, this is a little strange. I thought it was a little odd. Now, this book, I think, in my opinion, I'm just going to get right off the bat, I feel like this is kind of a step down from 2. I don't think it's terrible, but there's a lot of repetition. There's a lot of just scenes from the movie get repeated. And that's kind of the first, I would say, definitely the first chunk of this book is basically just scenes from the movie that they're kind of showing you, that Deckard's basically there, kind of, telling them, oh no, this didn't happen, this happened, so and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of that. But so I'll go back to the plot. Basically, what happens is, he's doing this consulting gig, and then who shows up but the guy from, I always forget his name right now, the guy from the the last book who was resurrected. I always forget his name. I'm just gonna pause the video. Sorry, Dave Holden. Dave Holden, who we know was resurrected, given a new heart or whatever. He was a main character in the last book. In this book, he shows up. He has a briefcase, and now, so he shows up. He gives Deckard this briefcase and says, "Hey, you need to, check out this briefcase when you're in a private area." So Deckard agrees. All right, fine. And he goes into, I think he's trying to leave, or something gets lost, and basically walks into a recreation of the scene in the movie where he was shot, through the chest or whatever, by the by the mustache replicant. I'm gonna kick myself when somebody's gonna say his name, but anyway, so basically he's in a recreation of that scene and goes, oh, what's happening? Boom, gets shot, dies, he's dead now, done for, he's dead forever. He gets shot, his entire, basically, his reset heart is basically just gone. So he's done. He's dead. He's completely gone now. From this, I'm assuming from the series, I don't see how the author makes it pretty clear he's not coming back. So that happens. Dave Holden's gone. Deckard basically at this point just says, he basically just gives the because of Dave Holden's death, and then I think another actor or something died, or a replicant. They're using replicants on the set of this movie, and I think a replicant dies or something, and he's like that, plus Dave Holden dying. He's like, I'm washing my hands of this. I'm done. I'm walking away. I think the director chases after him. Oh, you signed a contract. You can't do this. And he basically just flips him off and says, no, I'm leaving. So he leaves with the briefcase. And then when he's in his little pod or whatever going back to Mars, he opens the briefcase, and lo and behold, it's Roy. I think that's his name. Roy Beatty. Yeah, the replicant from the first movie and the second book, who goes resurrected. I'm pretty sure it's Roy Beatty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I might be getting names confused here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Batty. Sorry, Roy. Batty. Sorry, Roy Batty, or to say his name. He's in the laptop and says, "Hey, I'm Deckard. I'm back. They put my brain inside they put my replicant brain inside of the laptop." And again, that I'm gonna say right here that I think this book gets a little silly. I mean, I know this is cyberpunk. I know this is sci-fi, and it's all, obviously you got to suspend your disbelief, but this is kind of where this series kind of starts losing me a little bit. I still think this is worth reading. I'm going to say off the bat, I think this is worth reading. I definitely think it's worth reading. Definitely, you need to lower your expectations a little bit. I definitely think this is already. I'd say first, I already kind of knew this was already going to be a step down, and the reviews reflect that. I don't normally agree with reviews, but it's funny. Most people either go one way, they either think, "Oh, this is way better than 2," or "Oh, this is way worse than 2." I mean, I'm somewhere kind of in the middle. But I lean more towards. I'll get to my opinion later. I don't want to get too sidetracked. But anyway, okay. So he gets this gets this laptop. Oh, it's Roy again. Okay, so Roy basically tells him, "Hey, I have a message that you need to take me to the replicant." Then this is probably the best part of the book. Is there's some really good world building. That's really honestly why you should read this book, is the world building. The story is kind of crap. I'm gonna just flat out tell you, the story around it is not that is pretty bad, but the world building is excellent. He basically tells Deckard there's colonies out there, and there's colonies out there of replicants, and I think this is revealed a little bit later, but I'm just gonna say it now. Again, spoilers, by the way. If you're gonna read this book, I'm gonna say just read the book. If you're a Blade Runner diehard fan, just read it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like the world building. You're gonna like some things in this book. Just read it. If you're a casual fan, I would say maybe read 2 and then just quit. Anyway, spoilers. Okay, so he reveals that there's basically like I just said, there's a replicant colony out there, and out in this replicant colony, they're actually reproducing. Replicants are able to breed, and it's explained through some kind of pseudoscience-y stuff. But basically, you find out that the programming for whatever it is that they programmed into the replicants so they can't breed, so they're sterile, it basically stops working once you're outside of Earth's atmosphere and Earth's gravitational pull or something. It basically reverses their programming, so the replicants are able to breed, and they're able to reproduce. So this is a huge reveal. So Deckard is kind of like, okay, yeah, I mean, what do you exactly want me to do? And he says, yeah, I've got this information. I've got, I think you find out that essentially there's like, again, this is a plot thread that's carried from the last book, that what they're doing is they're taking replicants that are, I think what's explained is they're taking replicants that are breeding, their kids, or if their kids want to come to Earth or they want to come to Earth, they bring them to Earth. I think from what I understand, there's something that's revealed later on, but part of what's in the briefcase is there's a list of all the replicants that it has their original identity. So when they want to come to Earth, if they want to get their old memories back, they can do that. So he's like, you need to bring me to the Resistance. So if anybody that wants to come to Earth, they can. So anyway, while this is going on, Sarah Tyrell, and again, Sarah Tyrell is just kind of I mean, her entire plot of this book is pretty bad. She's basically just suicidal. She's it's I mean it's kind of revealed in kind of a ham-fisted way that her and Deckard are basically they're living. I mean, they're living together, obviously, but I think it's kind of like it's sort of revealed that Deckard kind of knew that it wasn't Rachel, getting on the, that was the big twist from the end of the last book was that, does Deckard know if, it's really Sarah, not Rachel? And supposedly he knew. So her and Deckard are living together on this little crap, like literally like this thing with like, plastic walls on Mars. And she's just suicidal. She's like, oh, I hate my life. I just want to kill Deckard and then kill myself. And that's basically her whole plot in this book, which is, there is one little chunk of this that makes it worthwhile. Is basically what happens is these two guys from the Shadow part of the Shadow Corporation part of Tyrell say, hey, these two guys show up at their apartment on Mars and say, hey, we know who you are. We know you're the son, the daughter, the heir to the Tyrell Corporation. We want you to rebuild Tyrell, basically. So she's reluctantly agrees and goes, okay, fine. And they go, okay. Basically, they take her. She ends up going to Earth. They take her to Earth and say, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And this is a good world. This is some good world building. You find out that there's this ship, and I think some of this was revealed in the last book, that her parents, like she ended up with Tyrell because Tyrell is her uncle. Her dad, I think, killed her mom and tried to kill her on this ship. She was on the ship going to the outer colonies. Tying together here. She was on the ship going out to the outer colonies, and her dad killed her mom. Tried to kill her, and then I think the AI, the ship intervened or something happened, and she was able to, obviously not be killed by her father. And essentially, they're like, okay, they're saying you need to go to this ship and essentially figure out what happened and why your father tried to kill you, and we need to basically get to the bottom of this so we can kind of start rebuilding Tyrell here from the ground up. So they go to this ship, and I think I want to say it's in Scotland or something. They take ships, and when they decommission ships. Apparently, I mean, again, this is all new from what I understand. This isn't in any other Blade Runner material. They take ships that have faster than light drives, and when when they decommission them, they basically just throw them in the lock. And I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like in Scotland or something, like Loch Ness or something. They just throw it in like a lake or something. So they go down to this lake, and she goes into this pod, and as an effect of, I guess, the faster than light travel drive, like time moves differently. Like you'll go in there, and it'll be like time will slow down or it'll speed up, and there's some real weird, trippy stuff, which is pretty cool. So anyway, there's a bunch of trippy stuff that happens. She ends up, I think, seeing a vision of her father killing her mother. And if I recall correctly, essentially what happens is, the takeaway from this part is she runs into, which she thinks is her younger self. It's basically literally like a younger version of her. And she just thinks, oh, this is just some hallucination. She gets out of the pod, or gets out of the ship, and then the hallucination follows her and says, hey, I'm real. I'm not, the ship was taking care of me. I'm not fake. And even the two Tyrell employees that are there with her are like, who is this kid? Who is this? And Sarah, which is she was basically just a complete nutcase throughout pretty much this entire book, is no, it's not real. It's just some hallucination. You're not seeing that. And they're going, yeah, we're seeing a kid. So, essentially what happens is, just to quickly summarize, she goes back, she's planning on going back to Earth. The Tyrell employees are like, okay, you kind of found yourself, figured out who you are, you know what's going on, you finally faced, your fears, And they're like, okay, we're gonna go back to Tyrell and restart Tyrell. And she basically essentially, there was a gun I think that they had in the little ship, and she grabs the gun, boom, boom, kills both of them, and goes, yeah, I'm not doing that. So she goes back to Mars, waiting for Deckard. Deckard, meanwhile, is while this is happening, Deckard's out on Mars. Roy basically tells him, you need to go, you need to get this powder, and then again, this ties back to, this is actually a nice little tie back to The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. The powder, I don't know if the powder thing is mentioned essentially, but there's a cult. There's that I can't remember the name of it, but there's a cult in the book that's essentially, they worship this guy, this dude who basically like became sort of like a cyber kind of god. He's like, he lives in this little cyberspace thing, and you plug into this device, and you can go in and worship him, and do all this stuff. I'm gonna kick myself, but it's just this little cult, and they're kind of tying back into that. What happens is, Deckard goes to get this powder. You take this powder, and you essentially go into the person, whoever it is, you go into their little realm. And what happened, again, this is really this book is definitely way more trippy than the last one, even Androids. So he takes this powder, he mixes it with this thing that was in the briefcase, and he ends up seeing Sebastian, and Sebastian says, hey, you need to go. He basically essentially is telling him, you need to do the right thing. You need to go help these replicants, out in these colonies. And Deckard's like, okay, fine. What do you need me to do? And he says, I'm going to give you this. And it's the medic case that was in the last book. Yeah, it was in the last book. It's this medicine case. And he goes, just take this. You'll know what to do when the time comes. So somehow, again, this isn't really explained, which is kind of strange. Somehow he's able to pull that back into the real world. He's got the medicine case, and goes, okay, I guess I'll figure out what to do with this at some point. And then at this point, Sarah shows up and said, was like, hey, Deckard, she's still on her crazy thing. I'm gonna kill. I want to end it. I want to kill you, then me. I just want to murder suicide. She's just nuts. She's off a rocker at this point. Anyway, so, and then again, Deckard sees the kid and goes, who's this kid? And she's, oh no, there's no kid. I don't know what you're seeing there. And it's at this point, this book is really just out there. It's out there, man. Honestly, it's almost worth reading just because it's so freaking weird. This is probably one of the weirdest books I've ever read. There's a calendar. I think there's a calendar. There's a talking calendar. One of the calendars, I think, in their apartment talks. I think even some of the other appliances talk, which is, I'm thinking a Brave Little Toaster. I don't know why this whole book is like, it's almost like a fever dream. It's very strange. So anyway, sorry, it's hard to stay on topic here. Deckard's like, no, we're leaving. I gotta go to the colonies. I gotta help these replicants. I don't know, this part really isn't all that important, but she eventually, Deckard gets away from her. She chases after him. I think they run, and he runs into a bar, I think, to hide from her or something. And in the bar, he meets up with a guy, basically puts a gun to him and says, hey, sit down, we need to talk. And this guy basically reveals, hey, I'm with the Resistance. I'm trying to help I think he's human, but he's like, I'm trying to help the replicants, get their colonies going and, get their stuff going. And he's like, I need to have that case. And Deckard goes, well, they told me I'm supposed to bring it out there. And he's like, oh, well, no, you don't want to do that because it's basically this is one of the big twists. It's basically a sabotage. That's an EarthGov, thing that they were sending out there. And it was basically, if I remember correctly, what it was going to do was, it was going to reinstate their programming, and their original programming, it was a fail-safe. There was sorry, again, there's so much going on in this book. Essentially, like how earlier I said that the replicants are reproducing, supposedly they built in a fail-safe into the replicants, if they have kids, they have this programming that they essentially will kill their kids. And then again, and then this is another big reveal. That's how you find out that Sarah she is actually a hybrid. You find out she's a half human, half replicant. Her father was a replicant, and what happened was his programming was kicking. That's why he was trying to kill her when they were on the ship. His programming was basically kicking in and essentially going, I need to kill my offspring, That's that failsafe that they built into the replicants so that they can't reproduce and basically overtake us or whatever. Excuse me. So he says basically what's going to happen. You're gonna screw this whole thing up, and so he pulls out a gun, just shoots Roy Beatty the case and goes, we're not, this isn't happening. You're not gonna screw this up. So essentially, what ends up happening is I think EarthGov shows up and goes, or maybe the EarthGov people. I think maybe the EarthGov people come in, they basically just shoot everybody. The case ends up getting, Roy ends up getting blown up. I think the secret agent guy, the rep synth guy, he dies. Sarah and Deckard, of course, escape because it's, they're the main characters. And then that's basically where the book ends. Is they're basically going out to the outer colonies now. They're fleeing to the outer colonies to try to link up, I guess, with the rep synths and/or just get away from EarthGov and everything that's going on. But anyway, so this is a doozy. I don't know. I still recommend it. I think especially if you're, I would say if you're not a Blade Runner fan, if you're just a casual fan, like I said earlier, if you're a casual fan, if you're just kind of a casual sci-fi kind of person, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't at all, because you're gonna get frustrated with this book, and I got frustrated. There's a lot of things that are very annoying about this book. But it's so weird. It's so weird because it's annoying and frustrating, but you still keep reading, and the stuff that's good is really good. The stuff that's bad is really bad. Like I said, the talking. I guess Roy Beatty, the talking, briefcase kind of grows on me. It kind of grows on you a little bit after a while. You get used to it. At first, you're kind of like, what? And then eventually, you're like, all right. You kind of get used to it. Just stuff like the talking appliances, just some of the really weird. There's a lot of really even the weird stuff. It's not even really that. There's just parts of the book that are just, like I said, the beginning, the filming, the movie part. That just felt really contrived, and it just felt like an excuse to basically just replay parts of the movie. I didn't like that. I didn't like I didn't mind Sebastian being in it as a powder god or whatever. That I didn't mind, but it was, again, it had to be. That chunk is basically just he's in the apartment again from the movie, which was dumb. She should have just come up with something new. He basically replayed that part of the movie. Excuse me, I completely forgot. At the end of the book, At the end of the books, Sarah does not. She shoots herself in the head. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about that. So Sarah does not survive this book. Thank God. Actually, as a matter of fact, I know it sounds horrible, but she's just horrible in this book. I can hardly stand her character. She's nuts. She just wants to kill Deckard and kill herself. I understand. I guess she lost to some extent. I get it, but it's hard to. Her motivations just make no sense. She spent the whole last book trying to set up this whole thing and, to destroy Tyrell and do all this thing. She got what she wanted, and then yet she's suicidal. She wants to murder Deckard and kill herself. I don't care for her character at all in this book. I forgot at the end of the book she ends up shooting herself in the head. And that's part of one of the big reveals is Deckard, has a pic. What's in the case, the medical case, is a picture of her I think with her father and her sister. That the little girl was her they were twins, if I remember correctly, and so that's the big reveal, or whatever, at the end. So Deckard leaves for the colonies with the kid. Sorry, excuse me. So let me clear that up. Sarah does not survive this book. Her twin sister, which I don't remember I don't know if they call her Rachel. I don't even remember what her name was in this. But anyway, so yeah. But yeah, you know what? There's not much else to say. I don't really know what else to say. This is an odd book. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I said it all. Just read this. If, like I said, if you're a Blade Runner fan, you're probably, I'm sure anybody who's watching this, you're going to be a hardcore Blade Runner fan if you're even watching this. But so I'll just say, just read it. It just for the curiosity of it, and the world building. The world building is good. The best part of this book is the world building. The story that's wrapped around it is not very good. There's some moments here and there that are good. The world building, though, definitely worth it. And the fact that the seeds here were kind of sown for 2049. I've heard the next one, and here's what I'm going to get into next. The next book, the fourth book, was not published in the U.S., so it's extremely expensive. The cheapest copies I could find were like $100, and I can't justify paying $100 for a paperback book, or even the hardbacks go for even more than that. So if I can find a cheap copy, which is what I'm waiting on, I'm hoping at some point somebody will throw a cheap copy on eBay, for $20 or something. I'll throw $20 at it probably, or less. I'm not spending $100 on a book. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Especially since I'm the quality is kind of degraded here. And again, I don't mean to crap on this too much. This isn't that bad of a book. I've read much worse books than this. It's such a mixed bag. It really is. It's a really mixed bag. So hopefully at some point I'll get to the fourth book. If I can find it for 50, maybe 40 or 50, I'll just probably break down and just buy it. Because it's almost impossible to find for in the U.S. here. So at some point, don't hold your breath. Hopefully I'll get to it at some point. But yeah, so that's it for now. I know this kind of ran long, I know, but this there's a lot to unpack here. This is just a really, really weird book. So that's all I have to say. See you guys next time.